Hey there everybody, it's Mark Crowley. I'm back with another video. This is part 3 in a 4-part series of videos showing all my old illustrations from elementary school. Now if you missed the first 2 videos in this series, I'm going to put links in the info box and then also annotation links at the end of the video. But let's go ahead and get into it. This first one is from the early elementary school years. See the train go. Need a little work on writing the letter G there, but it is an illustrated story. It's only 4 pages long, but you can see the next installment was the train was going to Washington. I'm very consistent in the way I write the letter G here, and then I don't know if you can see the drawings. Maybe I should zoom in a little. The train was going up a mountain, and then finally, the train was in Washington. What a nice little happy ending there. Let's go ahead, I'll zoom in so you can see the kind of drawing that I was doing back then at the beginning. Well, let's move on. This next one is going to be quite a little jump to when I was a little older. So yeah, this is probably from around the age of 10. We don't really have a date written on it, so I'm not sure. I'm just kind of guessing. But I was fascinated by the idea of being able to shrink down to microscopic size. Well, not microscopic, but anyway. I did this drawing of a guy. He's defending himself against the tweezers with a needle or something like that. And to me, what's interesting about this is the degree to which I focused on getting the shadow in there. That must have been very important to me to make sure that he was casting a proper shadow on that hand. And you can see that I was also trying to get the anatomy of the hand properly depicted, as well as doing a lot of shading. So, yeah, by the age of 10 or 11 or so, I was pretty serious about, putting a lot of time into a drawing and trying to create a good finished image. So here we have a handmade card that I did for my grandma and grandpa. It says 79 here, and so that would make me around the age of 13. Although I think I was, probably drawing better by that age than this card would suggest. In any case, I wanted to zoom in so you can see what happens with this card, because we have a little flap here, and on one side it says open, so I guess we better open it and see that this dapper gentleman is in fact Superman. Thank you for the birthday present. And I think it's funny that I had to sign it, Mark Crowley, my entire name, even though it's a card for my grandma and grandpa. So anyway, you can see me trying to do a full color piece here using markers, not art store markers, just kind of any markers I could get my hands on. And yeah, that gives you a sample of the sort of handmade thank you cards that I would make for my grandparents and for other people who mailed me stuff back then. Now here's another one of these pieces that I think, at least to me, shows how much I was interested in publication. It looks like something that was designed to be printed. The puzzle page. And the thing that makes me laugh, let me zoom in here, because I did one of these spot the differences things here, right? And what makes me laugh about it is that the instruction says, find 10 differences between these 2 pictures. Minor differences don't count. Because I didn't have, like the photocopy machine or whatever. I had to just draw it twice. So, of course, I was doing my best to draw it exactly the same, except for the differences. And so I felt like I had to qualify this. Minor differences don't count, man. Okay, look, it's not exactly the same. Anyway, that sort of made me laugh for whatever reason. But I mean, to me, the main thing that I take away from this is just clearly I was interested in, being a published illustrator, and I was like coming up with little projects that I could sit down and illustrate as if they were going to be printed somewhere. So even to me, just a little surprising to notice now how that was ingrained in my mind from a very young age. Alright, now in my other videos, I'm sure I've talked about how much I loved the movie Star Wars, but I don't think that I ever talked about how much I loved the movie King Kong, which came out in 1976. So I was 10 years old. I was really crazy about that movie. It was, I guess, it was the best thing up until that point for a kid to really get into. In terms of like special effects and so forth. Of course, the next year Star Wars came along and pretty much blew it out of the water. But for a year or so there, I was just wild about the King Kong remake from 1976. And so you can see me working. This is based, I'm sure, on one of these publicity paintings that they had done for the movie, and you know, the details of the face and so forth. I think I can take some pride in that. Interesting to me, though, that I wasn't yet focused on lights and darks and getting strong contrast. You know, it's kind of a washed out looking drawing, but that kind of stuff was yet to come. And speaking of Star Wars, here we are with this drawing. Must be from the year 1977. I would have been 11 years old when that movie came out, and sort of interesting to me. Let me zoom in for a second to see how I did. Darth Vader's helmet here got some cross-hatching going on there. So from that age, I had already sort of discovered the technique of using cross-hatching for creating tone. I gotta say, the one mystery in this drawing to me is this. What is that? Somebody in the comment section tell me, because it's a mystery. I have no idea what that's supposed to be. So here we have me trying to do a sort of parody comic book of the movie Close Encounters, Gross Encounters of the worst kind. 25 cents I was asking for this. I don't know if I ever got around to doing photocopies of this and trying to sell it, but it's sort of interesting to me to see that I wasn't just interested in drawing, I was also interested in writing, telling jokes, all these different things. And those of you who know the Close Encounters movie, you may recognize some of the scenes here, actually. Let me zoom in. Hang on a second. So this is from that scene where Richard Dreyfuss stops his truck and suddenly the UFO pulls up behind him. And in the stars it says, "Eat at Joe's." Classic comedy here, but I kind of like my joke here. If I knew the police did all this, I would have never made that U-turn. Yeah, you're a real comedian, but it just goes to show you, would have instead of would have. Sure, needed to work a little more on my English grammar, I guess. So now we're getting into the late 70s. I guess I would have been 11 or 12 or something like that, reaching the end of my elementary school years. And you can see that I was even then really into detail. I'm going to zoom in a little here so you can see this rocket ship. And this would have been a rocket ship of my own creation, just sort of playing around with different shapes and so forth. But you can see all the details that I was getting into back then. One funny thing about this is that I was a big fan of Mad Magazine, and so I'm working in the autographs, the signatures of all these different Mad Magazine artists. Those of you who know Mad Magazine, you might recognize Jack Davis, Mort Drucker, Sergio Aragonés, and Al Jaffe here. All of these guys were sort of great cartoonist heroes of mine, and I was very lucky later on. I got to actually meet Sergio Aragonés a couple of different times when I was in the comic book industry, so that was a real thrill to actually meet one of my heroes that I was doing, you know, little tributes to back here in childhood. So continuing with the theme of detail, here's this would appear to be Darth Vader's mask removed or something, but it also looks like the cutaway of a space station, so I'm not really sure what this is supposed to be, but I'll zoom in just a little so you can see the extent to which I went crazy for detail back then, and continuing today. I've always been a little obsessed with packing in as much detail as I could. Did add a little bit of color here with a yellow marker, but this is mainly just ballpoint pen, I believe was what I was using for this one. And it all comes back to Superman in the end. This drawing from the end of my elementary school years, the pose largely copied, if not entirely copied, from some superhero illustration. Interesting to see how I was working on the anatomy, you know, trying to get the muscles in the right place. I can see a lot of erasing here. I worked really hard on getting that face right, and so yeah, that just kind of shows you the stuff, the practice that I was doing on a daily basis at that time. And sadly, that's going to be the last drawing in this video. I've got enough to do one final installment. You know, probably a few more months from now we'll come back and do that video. But let me know what you think of these videos that show my old artwork, because I can certainly do more such videos, if not from elementary school times, then from maybe some more high school ones and college era work that I did. But for now, let's go ahead and wind this one down. I want to thank you all for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be back with another one real soon.